episode of you guys tonight. How much of the playbook did you get into, though, with the early lead? How much are you still working through as you guys get other guys playing time, too, especially in the back half?
Right, this was actually a tough game to get prepared for. Obviously, you're looking at what they did at Temple, studying the personnel. Personnel was a little bit different, didn't quite know what to expect. Knew we would have to get into the game and make some adjustments. Early on, they did some good things with their coverage, play some different coverages, especially some trap coverage to the field, which we weren't anticipating. So obviously that limited things early on. And then once we were able to kind of control the line of scrimmage, then we just relied on those guys up front running the football. And then they're towards the end of the half trying to work a 2-minute situation, probably forced a couple plays there. But overall, we used what we prepared once we got a good idea of how they were going to play us.
Travis, do you think Trevor will be using his legs a little bit more than he did last year? He had some effective runs there.
Well, each game is going to dictate that. The biggest thing we ask him there is just to make the system right. And so we have our different concepts that require him to, if the defense, takes away the inside run, he's got to pull it, and he's done a really, really good job of making the right decisions, first and foremost. And then he's a much better runner than people give him credit. So down the stretch, Trevor's going to do whatever he needs to do to help us win the football game. But each defensive structure will determine how much his legs will be involved.
Tony, Travis has that fumble early and then bounces back, man. The game that he had.
That's what he's supposed to do, And early on, Travis will tell you when you talk to him that he's probably trying to do too much. Just pressing a little bit, especially early on. We had a little counter play going back to the field, and he bounced it outside, resulted in a TFL. Everybody's fussing at the offensive line, but really that was on him making the improper read. And the guy did a good job of getting his shoulder on the ball, and that gives me an opportunity to coach and show. This is why you got to transition your drill work. This is why I teach you how to carry the ball this way. This is why I tell you to get your pads down so that you can protect that football. We're really proud of him bouncing back, and he's the guy that we're going to go to. And so in a situation like that, you got to go on to the next play. Don't let a bad play beat you twice.
Was that exciting to see Duke's catch and run there in the second half?
It was fun to see him get out there. I think that he's been impressing everybody throughout his performance in camp. Still has a lot to learn. Obviously, you could tell with him and Chez both in there, getting lined up, understanding the entire playbook is still a challenge for them. But both of them know what to do with the ball in their hands. And we saw flashes of Mikey's elusiveness and quickness throughout the course of camp. And there was a couple that because he had that success, then there were a couple that he was trying to bounce and dance around when he should have just got his pass down and take what the defense gave us. But he'll learn from it. All those backs will have an opportunity to learn. That's what I told him when I left the locker room. I said, look, people may be talking about your performance, but you just did your job. That's what you're supposed to do. And now you showed what you're capable of, and that's going to be the expectation every single week. So let's make sure that we understand that there's always room to improve, and then also we show that we have some capabilities, and we got to live up to that every single week.
How would you assess Trevor's performance overall?
Trevor, I think that you gotta go to one play that I think about is when he threw the interception and he goes and he makes the play. That's the heart of a champion. I have a Tiger, heart of a champion. Coach Sweeney says that all the time. It's hard to explain, but when you see it. And he could have easily, took the fact that he threw the ball right to him and it was a pick six. But man, what did he do? He ran down there. He knocked the guy out of bounds. Defense comes out with a stop, and now we go 94 yards. And again, 2 interceptions, but the first one they gambled and they showed us a little bit of a different look. And it looks like the DB kind of bit on it. We thought it was cover 2 until we saw the replay and safety wasn't over the top, so he gambled. And then the last one, he said he was trying to get out of bounds, trying to throw it away, and he kind of off balance and got away from him. But man, Trevor is the leader of our football team, and obviously he made some great throws. And he'll go back, he'll assess his performance, and he'll use that as fuel to help him to continue to improve.
What was the reaction that hit got in the locker room there at halftime, or even at the end of the game? The defense even.
I think more after the game. I think at halftime we were just focusing on the adjustments. Making sure that everybody understood it. Man, we had a 28-point lead at halftime. That even though we had a couple of turnovers, we had a couple of penalties on offense, and we weren't playing quite as clean as we wanted to. Man, we still found a way to come up with 28 points. So we're not going to hang our heads. And now we're going to make the adjustments. And the plan was to come out and if they're going to play coverage, then let's hand the ball off and make them stop us. And then when we're able to do that, then we were able to go up top and hit a big play. So he'll get a little bit of pub, but more importantly, he'll probably get some pub when Monday when we watch it as an entire team.
How is Travis different than he was last year?
I think he understands that he has to lead by example in everything that he does, and so that was positive for him to show those young backs that, yeah, you might have a play where you didn't have the desired result that you wanted. You put the ball on the ground, but then you got to bounce back. And he comes back and he rips off a 90-yard run. And then he's more engaged in just every aspect of the game. He wants to be the leader. He wants to improve catching the ball. He wants to improve in his pass protection. And the biggest thing now going forward is we just got to maintain that same level of intensity every single day. So I think he's just a lot more mature all the way around.
Speaking of that,
less experience in the running back position this year. Is he a guy that you're going to feed maybe more than you did last year?
I think that he'll naturally get the early series early on. But I tell you what, as long as Lin Jay continues to show that he's capable to function in every situation, then that gives us a great 1-2 punch. Both of those guys are very dynamic. At any given time with the ball in their hand, they can make something happen. And then it's my job to get those young guys to a point to where you can trust them in every situation. So I think as we go, it's going to be a lot like the question with Trevor's like each game plan, each team is going to determine how much of a load. And then if he gets hot, obviously we're going to feed him and ride him. And I understand too at coaching running backs that they got to get into a feel, they got to get into the flow of the game. And so he's a guy that he gets better as the game goes on. So each week will be determined by how the flow of the game is and the defensive structure.
At least early on, it's a little more of a 2 running back committee than maybe last year where it was a 4 running back.
Yeah, last year naturally we had 4 guys that were battle tested. Right now we got 2 guys, and really 1.5. Because Lin Jay played last year, but he played mostly towards the end of the game behind those other 4 guys. And so right now going into it, yeah, you have those 2 guys, but I'd like to be able to get those freshmen to a point. I think that we see that they know what to do with the ball in their hands. So it's my job as a coach to help them get to a point to where they can protect the quarterback. And once they do that, then they're going to be able to give us a lot more quality back.
You've always pushed Travis pretty hard. I think you've kind of taken it personally to see, kind of know what his potential is and want to get him there. What has the evolution of his career from when you first got him to now meant to you, kind of personally seeing that come along?
Right, I take pride in pushing all my guys, and that's how I was coached. Coach Sweeney pushed me hard. Whatever he saw in me, he was going to get out of me, and I've adopted that as a coach, and that's my philosophy. I'm going to push these guys hard, and specifically with Travis, I think he's responded to just understand the concept of being a complete player and not just relying on your talent. You got to be able to think the game. You got to be able to function in every situation. In pass protection, you got to catch the ball out of the backfield, and so for him, man, I'll be honest, I haven't done a whole lot with him running the football. I mean, he was born with the ability to run the football. I think the biggest thing for me is just to help him to mature mentally, to understand, the other aspects of the game, and to take pride in the other aspects of the game, and not just want to be a guy that relies strictly on his ability to run the ball. And that's probably the biggest change that I've seen him, just the maturity and the seriousness. Even though he has an unbelievable personality, he's always going to have a smile on his face, but you can see that he has the right intensity now and understands that every play that you're out there, you got to play it like it's your last.
Well, even like Trevor was talking about him going out and wanting to work on catching the ball out of the backfield. I mean, a guy who's borderline Heisman numbers as it is, to say I'm going to add this to my repertoire is sort of stating something about what he expects out of himself and what he thinks he can do for himself.
No question, and a guy like him, you never want him to get to a point to where he just relies on his talent. And we know how talented he is, and he's got a chance to be one of the best to come through here. And I take pride in pushing him to be the best. Not so I can say or take any credit for it, but when he's got that potential, then I want to drive him to that potential. And what it takes is not talent. It takes the mental toughness and the attitude and the mindset necessary to put in the extra work. Because again, at some point, he's going to get into a locker room where he may not be the most talented. And what's going to be the separation, when you're at the next level? The separation is going to be all the things that you can't measure, at the NFL Combine. It's going to be his toughness, his discipline, his sacrifice, his attention to detail, all the little things. And that's what my job is, to help him, work on those every single day and push him to make them his own desires and not just the desires of the coaching staff.
You touched on it a little bit, but just what does it say about Travis's character and makeup as a player that he bounced back after the fumble to have a career night?
Well, That's what he's supposed to do, you know, and obviously you on to the next play, you know, and again, I tell him, just because you ran a touchdown, you know, you got to go on to the next play. So every play you got to focus, you got to treat every single play like it's a game, like it's a one-game season right there. And so I'm just proud of him to be able to bounce back, and we'll watch the tape, and he's going to see, and he'll tell you there's going to be some opportunities where he could have done a little bit better too. And then he understands too that he has to bounce back in those situations because he's got 4 of the young guys that are looking up to him, you know, and in a sense are trying to emulate him. And so he has to teach them the proper way to handle adversity. And really, adversity is what builds a person's character.
Can you take us through that 90-yard run that he had, what you saw from your vantage point?
Well, you know, for me, I know what's faster for y'all on the field. Up top, everything looks like it's slowed. I'm like, Travis, are you running? Are you running? But it was just a little draw play, and we were able to give him the ball deep enough with some space, and he was able to find it out the back door, and then he does what Travis does. And again, I don't take credit for that, other than I'm trying to get him in the right spot at the right time to get the ball to him, and then it's his job to do the rest.
Where does he rank in